Hello, everyone. Good morning. Welcome to Peace and Late Night Conversation. It's your boy, Rod. Yeah, I know what I always say. Once the piece is gone, I'm gone. Let me show y'all what I got. I got that good vegetarian pizza. And I just went and got me one. Good old vegetarian pizza, that veggie pizza. All right, let me see what's on here. Tomatoes, green peppers, onions, uh, black olives, mushrooms. I'm about to tear into it. Y'all know what it tastes like. I'm tear into it right now. Y'all know what it tastes like. Hold up. Wait a minute. Oh, delicious. What's up, son? Jamari Bennett. I thought you probably asleep. I was like, you gonna be up tonight? Off the early morning? Well, tonight I'm gonna get into about 197. Oh yeah, and rising. I almost hit the number you was talking about. Almost hit that number. Tonight I'm gonna talk about the Universal Cult Church. A lot of people don't believe in cults. They don't believe it's real. They don't believe in spirits. This is coming from a person who's not an outsider looking in. It's actually a member of a place I thought was a church. But we all get sucked into some things. We all make mistakes. Some people got into this place, couldn't get out. And some are just brainwashed. It's crazy. I'm gonna show y'all like some video clips. I was contacted by an ex-member today, like an ex-pastor. He sent me a few videos. Also a video of like two ex-pastors speaking on their experiences of, being brainwashed and being members of the church. How they were tricked into believing that they were supposed to surrender everything and sacrifice to God. But anyway, I'm gonna get into. Some people don't know what witchcraft, voodoo, none of that stuff is, which I didn't know too much about everything myself. So, you want to see a video of a person supposed to be casting out of demonic spirit. Let me see if I can get this thing up. Let me see how to do this. Y'all give me a second. Where's my camera? Camera's there. See if I can get this thing up. This is it right here. Give me a second. I'm trying to get it started. Okay, I know what to do. Give me a second. I gotta adjust this thing. Ain't the best with this YouTube stuff yet. Still learning. Gotta bear with me. Bear with me. Damn. I think I got it. Y'all let me know when I got it. Got it going. Alright, give me a second. I think that's about it. I think y'all should be able to sit there. Alright, let me get it started. This is a demonic spirit. They're casting it out of some woman or putting it in there. Who knows? But here it is.
Cansaço. Não lia mais a palavra dele.
Não lia mais?
Não, saía pra evangelizar. Era o principal.
Não saía mais pra evangelizar, não?
Aí eu falei pra ela, pega teu uniforme, fica de membro. Ai, tive muita paciência, o que eu mais tenho. É paciência pra esperar. Foi muito fácil. Ela ia domingo, ia de quarta, mas não, já foi domingo. Sexta-feira, de forma alguma, zero obreira. Até que eu disse era pra mim. E aí eu brinco com ela. Mas hoje eu não vou brincar mais não. Hoje é o último dia dela. O meu senhor tá pedindo a alma dela pra mim. Se eu não der conta, eu sofro as consequências. Eu vou levar ela e os filhos dela, porque ela vai matar os filhos dela.
Você já matou alguém da família dela? Os parentes dela?
Não, colegas de obra.
Já matou?
E ela vê eles todo dia.
Colegas de obra?
Morreram.
Morreram? Se afastaram? Estão aonde agora? Para de cuspir. Fala direito sem cuspir. Estão aonde agora?
Esperando o grande dia, sofrendo as consequências de um dia ter estado aqui. Mal sabem eles o que espera por eles.
Vira pra lá.
O que me espera também se eu não levar a alma dela.
É? Hoje estaria marcado para ela morrer?
Ela veio disposta a morrer.
Ela veio disposta a morrer?
Mas
Se matou.
entrou aqui.
Foi ela que ligou lá pra igreja? Foi ela que ligou lá pra igreja?
Foi. Esqueceram.
Vira pra lá. Vira pra lá. Bota a mão pra trás. Amarra a mão dela pra trás. Vira pra lá. Vira pra lá. Pra lá. Lá pro povo. Ela ia pular da onde? Da onde?
Do 18º.
Ela ia se suicidar? Igual aquele outro que se suicidou?
Sexta-feira.
É? E ela ia fazer igual o outro fez.
Mas o teu Senhor é muito bom. Misericórdia ele teve dela.
Bota a mão pra trás, para.
Ela é preciosa pra mim. Não vai voltar a fazer pra ele o que ela fazia.
Você foi fazendo ela deixar de ler a Bíblia?
Li um dia, no outro já não precisava ler mais.
Aos poucos.
Relativamente. Eu tenho paciência. Eu não ajo assim. Eu vou ligar pacientemente. Eu tenho toda a eternidade.
Você tá vendo aqui, pessoal? E essas pessoas que estavam afastadas, se elas não tivessem vindo aqui na frente se entregar para Jesus, se converter, para onde elas estariam? Para onde elas iriam?
Eu busco.
Não.
Busco.
Eu quero que você fale, para onde elas iriam?
Uns
Hein?
eu ia atropelar. Ia fazer causa à frente. Já tava tudo planejado.
Essa. Levanta a cabeça dela, fica direito. Se essas pessoas não tivessem aproveitado essa chance, ia acabar com elas.
A maioria. Uns vieram por vir aqui.
Uns vieram por vir.
Isso.
Aquele rapaz que se suicidou, ele foi na caravana do resgate por ir. Ele foi por ir. No domingo se enforcou. Você está entendendo? Você que está aqui por estar e não está nem aí com o que a gente está falando, você está tendo a oportunidade.
Na última hora ainda teu Senhor falou com ele. Ele foi doido demais, ele não quis.
Como é que é o negócio? Como é que é?
Um dos meus cavalos tava lá, falando com ele.
Com quem?
Se enforca. Já era. Mas até na última chance, no último tempo, teu senhor falou com ele.
Lá na casa dele?
Mandou Miguel falar com ele, mas ele não quis. E o teu senhor até virou as costas pra não ver nós receber. Não, mano!
Você ouviu? E depois que ele morreu, quando a alma dele descolou do corpo dele,
Eu não sabia que era assim. Foi as últimas palavras dele. Eu não imaginava que era assim.
quando ele te viu,
Oh, não foi a mim que ele viu um outro cavalo.
qual que ele viu?
O eixo das almas preciosas. Foi esse que recebeu a alma dele. Era esse que estava embutido de ganhar a alma dele.
É? E quando ele se jogou naquela corda e a alma dele descolou do corpo, ele viu ele?
Ele viu o corpo dele.
Qual foi a reação dele?
De choro. Chamou pela mãe. Mãe! Mas já era tarde. O eixo das almas preciosas já estava levando ele. Digo mais. Ele tá escutando tudo que tá sendo falado aqui. Mas não pode fazer nada. Aguardando o grande dia. O dia final.
O que ele pede agora? O que ele pede lá?
Pra mãe dele buscar por ele. Ver se o teu senhor dá outra chance.
Quer outra chance?
Mas não tem mais.
Você tá vivo, hein? Você tá vivo, hein? Isso tá recente. Domingo passado. Você vai resistir à voz de Deus?
Mãe! Socorro, mãe! Mãe! Por que não te ouvi, mãe?
Você acha que isso é armação dessa mulher? Você acha que ela está sendo paga para fazer isso? Você que sabe. A verdade está sendo mostrada para você. Você decide. A Bíblia diz: escolhe a vida, hein? Para que vá bem você e a tua família. Vem cá, e o outro que morreu no sábado?
Esse eu choro. Meu cavalo tá pagando. Perdeu ele.
É? E na hora que a alma dele descolou do corpo?
Vamos pra ele.
Quando ele morreu, o seu Vicente, quando o coração dele parou e a alma dele descolou do corpo dele, quem estava lá para recebê-lo? Vocês?
Não! Foi colocada uma barreira! Foi posto uma barreira!
E quem estava lá?
2 arcanjos!
2 arcanjos?
Ele subiu sorrindo, descansado!
Para! É? Subiu sorrindo? Subiu sorrindo?
Subiu.
Foi naquela vigília que ele entregou, que foi decretada a salvação dele? Foi naquela caravana? Foi naquele momento que ele veio na frente?
Dia 28 eu tinha um plano pra ele.
Hein?
Dia 28 a gente ia cefar ele, mas ele foi antes.
Naquele momento que nós chamamos na frente, foi aquele momento que ele se entregou?
Foi. Ele já tinha feito uma oração do Senhor antes. Senhor. Nós tentou barrar, mas ele foi. Ele foi.
Hein? Foi o quê?
Foi humilde. E teu Senhor aceitou ele de volta.
Jesus quer te aceitar de volta. Volta. Você que não veio aqui na frente. Você que está se tornando resistente. Volta. Hoje pode ser sua última chance. Quem você quer Quem que você quer? Por quem você quer ser recebido? Pelos arcanjos celestiais? Ou pelo Exu das almas preciosas? Ele está lá embaixo agora. Você viu o que ele falou? Ele disse: eu não sabia que era assim. Mãe, pede o teu Deus para me dar o quê? Não tem. Acabou.
Okay, now. It's a video of the Universal Church, so-called delivering the spirit from a woman. Now, I don't know if they put the spirit on the woman or what's going on. You know, that's a place that I end up, thinking it was a church. End up bringing my family, friends, and associates there. Thank God I got all of them out of there, before it was too late. I had, I'm going to show you all more videos. It's going to be, that's a Spanish video, you'll see an English version of two pastors speaking on their experiences being involved in the church, how they had to surrender their bank accounts. They had to live in the church, forced to have vasectomies. It's like some kind of sacrifice to the devil, which they don't know. But when they first come in, they're saying this is God's work. When they should have, read the Bible for themselves. It says, be fruitful and multiply, not get vasectomy. You're tampering with God's work when you do that. And they become pastors and supposed to be able to lead. But anyway, they're told to do this. So all the pastors be talking, I don't know, there's it's usually between 200 to 500 churches. About 200 of them get shut down every year because they branch out throughout the country, cities, everywhere. So about at least 200 to 300 get shut down every year of the universal cultures. You also, these pastors, they can't live on their own. You're never allowed to have your own apartment, your own home, anything like that. You get married, you and your wife have to live in the church. You have to check in 5 times a day. If you go somewhere, you got to check in like, I don't know, some prison or something like that. And you're given a stipend once a month. It may be, depends on what they bring in. Let's say the church in DC, when they were there, I think it was like $10,000 a month you had to bring in. If not, they just sent somewhere else like a pimp and a prostitute. If they go to Chicago or LA, expect them to bring in $500 to $1,000 a night. They come up short a couple nights, they boom, take them elsewhere. The same thing with the pastors. So in DC, they had to bring in about $9,000. So if they were short, it was unacceptable. They could be sent anywhere, and usually somewhere worse. Maybe somewhere in Africa where they shooting and robbing or whatever, killing people. They may get sent there. They don't know where they're gonna go from day to day. So they try to bring in that money, begging people, getting them to do They call it Campaign of Israel or Campaign this and that. And the campaign is done in the 666 form. It's done every June, every December, back to June. And they want the members to sacrifice your rent and not pay it. Sacrifice your car note, not pay that. If you don't have any money, no job, because you got to sacrifice your paychecks where you have nothing. If you have a bank account, savings, you have to sacrifice that, to prove your faith and your loyalty to God, to them. Well, it's really some kind of demonic sacrifice where they have you writing down your problems and your dreams and, just mixing it all in there. And then they show you videos of, suck you in like pyramid schemes do. They show you videos of people so happy. Oh, I got this, the big car, this, that, glorious lifestyle. Yeah, it's basically done the same way, show you the videos. Oh, I got healed from cancer. I got healed from AIDS. I got healed from, whatever the sickness was. And this person, I prayed and I donated, sold my home, whatever, and gave it to the church. And now my son is out of jail, or my wife came back to me, and if someone giving a testimony, maybe false, maybe true. But he uses things to suck you in to get your money. And then at the same time, you're also opening doors when you do this thing, because you're told to cut a piece of your hair, put it in a Ziploc bag. You're going to write down these things, your problems, your dreams, your goals, put in an envelope. And what they do is they burn this stuff. You're burning things. It's not written in the Bible. It's witchcraft, voodoo, some kind of voodoo. It opens doors spiritually, which ain't good. Because, even though people you see some people may get blessings. The devil can bless you too. Some people don't know that. But anyway, I'm gonna go to a video where the pastors are speaking, who was sent to me earlier today from Pastor, this ex-member of the church. Now give me a moment so I can find it. Give me a moment.
Yes, after the death of
These
two
are
of my friends, Pastor
two ex-pastors.
called Drangins.
See how long the video is.
Also, we see now this is
so
not
long.
the church. Then they were calling us this.
And just to
if you are a regular viewer, I want to say thank you so much for the support that you always give in to Solomon's Temple. I got people, here already. Kendi is saying greetings from the USA. Uncle Solomon, you're the only reason why I still.
I'm not gonna show the entire video.
Thank you, Ken. Yeah, good to have you. E2 and Benny, you need to come a bit close to me, who believes in the COVID-19 vaccine.
Okay.
Tabisi, you're always here. You're always here. Thank you, Jonita. You're always here. Bongani, as usual. Thank you so much, guys. I really appreciate every single one of you.
Contacting me today. I'm gonna show you all this.
We got Shoni from Linksville here in the east of Johannesburg. I'm from TJ here. We have all the way from Mpumalanga, and quite a lot of other comments. Thank you, guys. I'm gonna have a short one, and I'm gonna have an interview.
You wanted me to
like
show
I
the
had
video
said,
on my channel
we're gonna be
today.
looking at a continuation of the issue of the pastors, a group of pastors who joined the Universal Church at a very young age, and today they are ex-pastors, and also they have a lot of grievances, a lot of crying out. They actually all belong to a group of pastors, about 11 of them. They call themselves Pastors Cry Out for Justice. They all came out of the Universal Church of the Kingdom of God, UCKG, as they call it. So they all came out of UCKG, and as you know, UCKG, that is the Universal Church of All Nations, is a church that actually started in Brazil by this billionaire guy who is he has shares in banks and television and all that kind of stuff. Very influential person, and they planted quite a lot of their churches across the world and also in Africa. And they've been in a lot of controversies lately, and a lot of people are asking questions around the Universal Church of all nations, of God, not of all nations. So we had a first part of an interview, and we're bringing a second batch of pastors that are totally separate from the first part of pastors that we bring in. So there's quite a lot of them that are right now hopeless. They're crying out for different reasons. So I would like to invite them and get them to join me. I have with me here Benny and also Itu Milang. Thank you so much, guys.
Thank you. Thank you. Welcome, sir.
Yeah. And also I have with me Sipro. Are you there?
I'm here, Solomon.
Yeah.
Thank you for this opportunity.
Yeah, good to have you. Itu and Benny, you need to come a bit closer because I need to see you guys. So I don't see your face. Not even closer, like closer together. Not close to the screen, but closer together. Yeah, something like that, just so we can see your face. But I mean, obviously, I'm gonna zoom in and zoom out sometimes, so you don't you can be a little bit free. So, but let me start with you, Sipo. Tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got involved with the UCKG, Universal Church of the Kingdom of God, in the first place.
Yes, Solomon, thank you for this opportunity. I greet everyone out there who is listening this evening. Yes, I'm Sipo Chabalala. Solomon, the first time I came to the Universal Church, I was invited by someone who actually told me, if you go there, to this church, you will be healed. You will be free from every problem and every suffering. I then end up in the church, went there, asked for prayers. And as I was a youngster, I was still very young at that time. As I was a youngster, there was a youth group in the church, and I got involved in the youth group in the church. And as I was in the youth group, I started taking part in some activities that they normally have in the church. That includes also part of the evangelism group, where we will go out on Saturdays and evangelizing people and so on. That's how I started becoming in love with the church. And I was so in love with the church that I also had this eagerness to stand on the altar one day and preach the word of God to people. So what I can say to you, it all started from the day that I entered in the Universal Church. It did not start from the time that I became a pastor, but it all started from the day that I entered in the Universal Church, because it was from that time that when I see these young pastors preaching, I also wanted to be like them. As I loved God, I also wanted to preach the word of God like them. And it happened that bit by bit, I became in love with this pastoral ministry until the day I actually questioned to say, what do you do if you want to become a pastor in the church? And everything was explained to me by them. I was a youth member in the church. I attended the church regularly. I was baptized in the water, and I started attending these meetings that they normally have, like the evangelism group meetings, those who want to work for God, and so on. So that's where it started. That is before I actually now became so much interested in becoming a pastor in the church. Yes, Solomon.
Okay. All right. I get your. So how long were you in the church before, and when did you leave? So you trained as a pastor? Were you pastoring a branch, or what happened?
Yes, Solomon. You see what happened in the Universal Church. from the time that I started going to the church, I started going to the church, that was 1997. Yes, 1997, late 1997, I started going to the church, but I'll just go on and off, until I actually became committed, as I have already explained. Baptized in water, became a youth group, joined the evangelism group, became in love of wanting to be a pastor. So when I say to you that it did not start from the day that I was actually sent to the class to be a pastor. It actually started from the day that I became interested because of the teachings. Because it looks like when you are a youngster there, the moment that you set your feet in there and they see you as young as you are, they already become interested in you because the church need to recruit more youngsters so they are able to, to fulfill their mission. So as I was there in the church, from the time I set my feet there, I was already a victim. So you become a victim of this pastoral thing in the Universal Church, not from the time that you are sent to the class, but from the time that you are becoming interested in the ministry of the church. You are already a victim. Because
what do you mean you're already a victim? What makes you a victim in that sense?
Okay. When I say you become a victim already by that time, you see, Solomon, I can say that there is a system in this church. The way they are dealing, they have a system, the way they are explaining things to you, and the way they talk you into it. They talk you into it. You become a victim of wanting to do this, of being part of the ministry of the Universal Church. So when I say to you, you become a victim, there are many young pastors who started there, including myself. When we started there, from the time that we started, we had no longer interest in most of the things that we dreamt of before. Because the teaching, if you leave everything, if you leave your mother, your father, your brother, your sister, the teaching will be taken from the book of Matthew 12 verse 19, if I'm not mistaken, to say if you leave everything and become a pastor here, your sacrifices, God is going to use you. So some of us, from the time that we were still serving in the church, we already, became victims in that manner, that some of us, we were already, being part of the church, whereby we will sleep in the church, we will stay in the church, because we will be told that this is sacrifices needed. And we will not stay at home, as that was my case. I already lost it all. And that's why I'm saying I became a victim already before I went in as a pastor, because already I was staying in the church. Already I lost, I lost the dreams that I had for my life of what I want to become. I lost that vision of wanting to study further and so on, because I have so much fallen in love in this ministry of wanting to preach the word, not knowing that there is or the hidden agenda of what is happening inside of the church, because not everything is explained to you. So I became a victim, not when I started to preach and on the altar, but from the moment that I was in the church, I was already a victim.
Okay, understand. There's a system there. So let's come to you, Benny. How did you join the church, and how long were you there?
Thank you, Uncle Solomon. I firstly went to the church. I think it was around 2002 when I joined the church, and then when I got there in the church, as Moruti has explained, that you become a victim immediately when you get in. Before you become a pastor, you are already a victim. By then, I was at school, and I was still doing. I was at the secondary school. So that's where I was at that moment. And immediately when I started to join the church, they started to speak to me, telling me that if you are a man of God, you shouldn't consider education as a way you are called, things like that. And then immediately I started to lose the interest of going to school. And then I hardly finished my matric, because I finished my matric the year 2005 when I went to the ministry. So at that time, after I've lost that desire of going to school, I hardly finished my matric, and then I was taken to the class of becoming a pastor. And then there at the class, I stayed from 2005, and then I think I stayed something like 6 months. Then I was taken to QwaQwa, and then there at QwaQwa, that's when I started to become a pastor. I was a pastor there, an auxiliary pastor, and then everything that I was promised that I will be taken care of, it was never fulfilled. All I could see, it was just a sorrow, because there is also something today I wanted to expose about the church. It is something that happened that knocked me down, that made me to decide even to part ways with the Universal Church.
Tell us about it. What happened?
All right. What happened is it was 2007 when this took place. We were at the mountain.
What do you do at the mountain normally? You have to explain to us, because we don't know the way it works in UCKG, right? So you go to the mountain to pray. Is it everybody, pastors, and how often do you go to the mountain to pray, or whatever?
What I can say about the mountains, in the Universal Church, the mountain is a custom to go to the mountain. The reason I'm saying this, because everyone goes to the mountain. By everyone, I mean the bishops, they do go to the mountain. Even now, during the times of when there is this campaign of Israel, they will climb the mountain. So the pastors, the bishops, the members, the assistants, everyone inside the church, we normally go to the mountain and pray. As I said, it was like a custom. So that moment when we went to the mountain, we didn't know what happened. We didn't know what would later on happen. So let me just read my statement, because I wrote a statement of everything just to make sure that I put the story accurately as it happened, as it occurred. So it was 2007 when we went to this mountain, and then I released this statement because of untold truth that the Universal Church hid for so many years after the death of two of my friends who passed away on the mountain called Drakensberg at QwaQwa, place called Tsese. The decision that I released this truth, it took me time, since I was also a victim who went to this mountain. And after the mountain, I was left emotionally bruised after what had occurred. And then my life turned around after I completed my grade 12. And then, because instead of furthering my studies, I went to join the UCKG ministry. It was so shortly after I completed my matric, the year 2005. I was pushed by the strong desire of serving God, yet not aware of what actually happened in the ministry of this church. From home, Botshabelo was taken to Johannesburg, the headquarters of this church, to be trained to become a pastor. It was the year 2006 when I got to the pastoral classes. Then from there, I was transferred to QwaQwa, where I completed my training and became an auxiliary pastor. I worked in the main church and small churches around QwaQwa until I returned to the main church. Those days it was like a custom, as I said, to go to the mountain during the campaign to pray for people. So So since it was the time of the campaign, the leader of the church there, he proposed that we take a movement of going to the mountain. And then he separated the groups to march from different locations to the church. And I was given the guys which, these guys that I won't even reveal their name. I was given 7 of these guys. And then we left the church and we went climbing. All was well until on top of Mount Exhaust. We got lost and we had no spotlight. We were hungry and getting cold. The sun set while we were on top of that mountain. We had only one phone and the battery was low, and we found a signal on the mountain. Seeing the situation was bad, I tried to inform the senior pastor, but became unsuccessfully because of the network. I then tried to phone his wife, but I couldn't. I then called the same police station and successfully got through. Yet due to network failure, my call was terminated. The time I believe it was 6 p.m. when darkness fell on us. We tried to walk, making queue, following the front guy who was using the cell phone as a torch. We walked until it was around 10 p.m. and my guys, they were hungry, they were cold, and they were weeping. Things became worse when 3 of my guys were unable to move. They were in a critical state, yet still conscious. That's when we had to carry them on our shoulders. On top of this mountain, there were a security guard on top, and we reached there, but the guy could not open for us. Inside, we didn't see anyone except the fire that was burning. We knocked until we got tired and our fingers were hurt by knocking. That's when we had to slowly climb down this mountain. We walked while carrying these guys, 3 guys on our shoulders. They were so much heavy and still crying that they were feeling cold. Around midnight, we were all exhausted and the fear of death kept knocking into our mind. As I was leading them, I told them that we need to get and join in prayer. That's when we holded hands and we prayed. As we were praying, 2 of my guys who passed away shouted, saying, "We are all going to die." Although it was obvious before our eyes, I refused to believe the obvious and rebuking the 2 guys because of negativity that they were speaking. We then went and slept by the rock. These 3 guys were now rolling down on the road at the mountain. We slept, however, still shocked at the situation, and also underneath our feet were roaring of wild animals and other strange sounds. Although I slept, I was worried about our safety, since we didn't know what was roaring beneath us. I don't remember how, yet I managed to sleep, and all the guys, except 3 who were lying on the floor, groaning of coldness and hunger. They went on until I slept around past 12. When I woke up, the mist was still covering us. Up on the sky, moon was shining. Darkness was still upon us. I had hoped that maybe that was just a dream, not the reality. Immediately when I woke up, I tried to shout my guys one by one, just checking who was conscious and who was not. My voice was gone and I couldn't shout. I then realized that we were sleeping on wet grass and the rock where we were leaning had spilling water. I tried to stand up, I fell down. I tried for the second time, but became unsuccessfully. I tried one more time, this time leaning with the rope to assist myself, and finally stood up. I couldn't hardly move my legs, yet I forced myself until I was able. My whole body was bitter, and my chest was like I had swallowed an iron rod. I then forced my voice and shouted to my guys. One of the guys, he woke up, and when he tried to stand up, he was unbalanced. I shouted for the other. They were not responding. I shouted for the other one, and he responded. I told him to look out for everyone as I was going down the mountain to seek out help. I then tried the other one. He stood with me. I took him and went with him down the feet of the mountain. We were both covered with snow. However, we managed to reach the other security guard, and he called 911, calling for backup. We waited for the ambulance. Since then, it took long time to come. And it was around 7:30, if I remember, when I told the other guy I left with to keep waiting for the ambulance, as I was now close to the location to seek an emergency help. Upon my and then what happened is, upon my arrival to the location, the ambulance came direct to me. I waved for them, but they didn't stop by. And after a while, I saw 2 vans that the state uses to pick up cops. That's when I knew that some of my guys had passed on. The ambulances, when they returned from the top of the mountain, they still didn't recognize me. I was now left alone, far from the church and far from my guys. I had no money for transport to take me to anywhere, and I was traumatized at what had occurred. My mind was not functioning well. I had 2 thoughts: either to go to the church and report what had happened, or go to the hospital. And I decided to go to the church. I walked from there to the church, which I arrived. When I got to the church, the message had already arrived that 3 of my guys had been certified dead, while the other admitted in ICU. Just entering the church, I was told the disturbing news. It was painful. And then what happened is, since 3 they were certified dead, 1 managed to wake up, and then 2 we had to bury them. It was on Thursday when we buried them, and the bishop, they knew what happened there on the mountain, but instead of telling the truth, they went to the radio and they spoke lie. The lie that they spoke, they said that I'm not a pastor because of the situation. The situation, it was bad. They went to the radio and they said I'm not a pastor. They knew that the media was already involved in this matter. And also they spoke lies, saying that the guys I was with, they were just a youth. They were not the assistants. Some of them, they were assistants. And then they even came to me. They sent the members to tell me that I should take the blame and speak the lie to cover the church. And I had to cover the church because by then I saw like the lie we spoke to the media. We said that we went there by ourselves. We were trying to hit the church because we knew once the media knows the church is the one that authorized us to go, since it was a custom. So the church was going to be in trouble. Maybe it will be locked down. And then the bishop took me to the police station. When we arrived there at the police station, we made a statement. We had to speak lie, all of us. Even my guys, they had to speak lie just to protect the church. So that is the reason why I said my life, it became complicated. And bear in mind that they used the advantage that I was young by then. And they also used the advantage that I was in shock of what had happened to my guys. They also used the advantage that I was traumatized. And also myself, I was also feeling the pains inside. I was frozen. I remember the way it was so bad there on top. We cried there, we shed tears, and our tears, they froze on our faces. But now, when the bishop saw that the church was going to be in trouble, they manipulated us. They told us to speak lie. And that is the lie that today I want to clarify. To tell people that the bishops, they were aware of what happened. They knows. The reason I'm exposing this is because people, they died there on top of the mountain. My guys, I saw them giving their lives. I saw them, they've been crying all these times. And I could not help them because even I myself was crying too. I was dying. I could not help them. And because of this, I've been also looking out for a way on how to blow a whistle and tell the people how cruel is this church. All we need...
Benny, sorry to interrupt you. I must say, I didn't expect that there was a horrible story in this interview that I'm going to be having with you guys. I didn't expect that. And it was good that you actually wrote this. I must commend you. You're a good writer. You wrote this to remember. And so I must commend you for that. And whilst you were talking about that, this happened in 2008, right?
2007.
2007. Where was that? In Kwakwa? In Vitsit, what do you call it?
Vitshoek.
Yes. So now whilst you were talking, because I'm a journalist, I love to clarify stuff. Whilst you were talking, I actually Googled it. And it's here. So people that are watching can Google it. And this is the title, "Two Die as Prayer Group Freezes."
Yes.
So for you who are watching, you want to confirm that story, it's right. Just go and Google it. It says 2 people died after a church group spent a night in the cold at the top of Mount Ox. Is it around the Drakensberg? Is that it?
Yeah.
Yes. In the Free State. The incident happened in Kwakwa. Police investigated. It is thought that the group consisted of 9 members of the Universal Church in Putati Java. Is that it?
Yes.
Yeah. The group consisted of men and women between the ages of 17 and 22. So you guys were basically very young people, and you went to the mountain to pray. The group arrived at the car park at the foot of the mountain at 5 p.m. So there is just a whole lot of, but I never heard of that myself, So now that you're bringing it up, I can see it. This is IOL, which is a very prominent South African news website. Is there? There are other sources that really got the story, but I never. But before we even move to it, I'm still trying to process it. I'm still trying to process the incident and then the cover-up by the bishops, and then telling young people to lie just so you can cover the image and the reputation of the church. It was an organized group that you guys went there. You guys were young pastors, right?
Yes.
And you were the group. Why didn't they open the door for you guys? Why were you guys neglected?
I think maybe what happened is, like, as I said, they wanted to cover up that we are not like my case. I was a pastor, but they spoke lie. They said that I'm not a pastor. I'm just a stupid keyboard player. those who were at Kwakwa that time, who were listening to the radio that moment, they can testify to that I was called names, that I'm just a keyboard player. I'm not a pastor at all. And I was a pastor. Even today, I can prove that I was a pastor then. Even if I can show some of the papers from SARS, they can testify that I was a pastor there. So because of also seeing the situation that the church that I loved, it will be in trouble. So and they came to me, since at that time I was as I said that I had a trauma. I ended up speaking the same thing what they told me that I should say to the media and also to the police station. We even made a statement at Tsesem police station. We made a statement saying that we went there by ourselves.
But that wasn't the truth.
That wasn't the truth.
Yeah. So before I move to E2, tell me, did the church help to bury these people and support the families of these people and provide maybe financial support for them?
No, it was the members. There is a member who was owning a funeral parlor.
So the church themselves didn't put money together to say, look, let's give this to this family to help them to bury them for the funeral and to also support them because now they love their loved ones. The church didn't just want to get involved because they want to protect their reputation. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, that is exactly what I'm saying.
So it was individual members that helped them.
Yeah, it was the members who actually went out of their way just to help by covering up for this church.
Okay, we're going to come back on that same story later. There are people here who are commenting, there are people crying. I'm going to put some of the comments here. There are people saying this is just shocking. People, I'm talking about people from all over the world because a lot of people from all over the world watch my broadcast, and she is here. Okay, she needs a PayPal. Okay, I'm gonna put it out there. You can see it also under there. You see some of the comments that's there. People are very unhappy, and people are angry right now. These are some of the comments that I'm posting, just so you can see. And it's just too much even for me to post. Just too much. And people who don't know the Free State is almost like part of the coldest part of South Africa. So the cold that you experience there is different from a lot of places. That's the place where in South Africa, I think we actually get the most snow, if I am correct, in South Africa, during winter. So there's quite a lot of comments there. But Itu, let me come to you. Tell me a little bit about your interaction with UCKG, Universal Church, and how you got involved. And I saw you also, William. Welcome, William.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you very much.
All right. Yes. Yes, I'm gonna come. I'm gonna come to you now, William. I'm just welcoming you. I'm gonna come to you now. All right. Itu, tell us a little bit about your involvement.
Oh, well, I greet you all.
I know, I'm talking to Itu. Hold on, William. All right.
All right. Okay, I greet you all, viewers, in the name of Jesus. Well, I'm still serving as a pastor, but not in the UCKG anymore. Well, how I came to be a pastor, I was just somebody who had good things about the church, that when you join the church, life will be better and all the stuffs. So my life was horrible then. Okay, I was still schooling. Then I decided to come through the invitation that I was invited to come to the church. So I came to the church like that.
and then I started to join the group of G10s. There was a group called G10s. And then from there, that G10, I made something about a month. Then I was taken to be a helper in the church, more like an assistant. So it went on like that. Then there was a pastor then who saw the eagerness, the love, the passion I had of winning souls for the kingdom of God, since I was also saved. So then just this pastor introduced me on this pastoral thing, telling me that, amen, don't you want to become a pastor? By then, I was full of love. I had love for this church that, you know what, I am going to join the church. I am going to be a pastor. Then he told me about the class that I had to attend in Bloemfontein. Then I went there. They prepared me about seven months there. And then after that,
are you there? All right, I think we got some problem with Benny and E2 before they sort themselves out. William, can we come to you? Tell us a little bit about your involvement with UCKG.
Thank you very much. Let me introduce myself. I'm Pastor Michael. I'm just using the phone of Pastor William.
Okay. Okay, Pastor
I'm Pastor Michael Lowe. Pastor Michael Lowe.
Okay, that's good. So go ahead and tell us, when did you get involved with UCKG and what was your experience and why did you leave?
No, I started in this church when it starts. It was not UCKG. It starts at Stop Suffering when it starts here in South Africa.
As what?
It Stop Suffering.
Okay.
The name was Stop Suffering.
Stop Suffering?
Yes, that was their name.
So that was the name. Okay, that's something new.
It was their name when they started here.
How long was that? When was that?
It was 1993.
1993.
In Bloemfontein.
Okay. So the church actually started in Bloemfontein.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, it was Stop Suffering. And in that time, you know, we just come from apartheid. And we were just vulnerable, and we were just coming from suffering as they come here and Stop Suffering. So they recruit us in that way. They recruit us and to say that they were sent from Brazil by God to come and help us to stop this suffering. And so that is how they catch us. Because everyone here today, nobody will not want to come out of suffering. So they catch us in that way, and they read that time they used to read the book of Exodus. When the Israelites were leaving Egypt, went to Canaan. So they were using that book a lot. So that is where they start to use this envelopes. They call it the offerings, sacrifice. So that is how I entering up. I was then recruited to be a pastor, and I was sent to Joburg. In that time in Park Station, they were called Mokodini. We were sleeping in sleeping bags. They did not even have a bed for us to sleep. They did not have food for us to eat, not even nothing to wash ourselves. So we were struggling there because they were told us that the disciples, they live by faith. So we have to live by faith. So there was a restaurant in the Park Station that we used to go 4 o'clock, and then they used to let us get some food there, eat, and then come back to sleep. And there was a time that one bishop there, he was saying that we are smelling bad. We are making his church to stink bad. So then you want to hire a hotel for us to just to take a shower in every afternoon. So we were staying there, and I was in the class that 1994, and then they said it was just a 6-month class, and then they sent me to Pietermaritzburg, Durban. From Durban, Pietermaritzburg. Then Pietermaritzburg, I start also to see now this is not the church that they were calling us and say that we are going to save souls. We see that this is all about money now. It's not about soul. So there, and the one pastor there in church in Pietermaritzburg, he wants me to get married with a woman that I don't even know, because this woman was his girl that is working for him, his mate in the house. So I said to him that I will never get married with him because it's not mine, it's not my choice, and it's not from God. And what he have done, he said to me that tomorrow I must go with a wheelbarrow to go to the river stream to get some stones to come to build an altar. This altar I'm going to build is going to be the altar of sacrifice. So I was pushing the wheelbarrow with a lot of stones throughout the town. So that was the problem that we discovered there. And then they were sending me to Cape Town. I was there in Cape Town. And then I went back to Joburg. When I was there in Joburg, I started to see also all these things, and I make the revolution. 2008, I started the revolution there inside. I started a revolution there because I started to see that no, this is too much now, because pastors are suffering, members are suffering, people are being they take the money of the people like their ATMs. And I start to have that revolution, and that is when I start to go to the newspaper. I was still inside. I make a newspaper of that one of Saturday Star, where I talk about the racist, about the Brazilians' treatment, and we South Africans' treatments are different than the Brazilians. Because when they came from Brazil, sometimes they are single, we are married, but you will discover that they have things that we don't have. We will discover that they get more pay than us, because the Brazilians' payment are made by the Brazilians, a Brazilian wife. And our pay are done by a South African one. So that is where we discovered that here is a lot of apartheid. And the treatment that they give us and the words that they humiliate us. And that is where I start to make this racist newspaper. That is the Saturday Star. On the 14th of March 2009, I made this racist, but I did not put my name. My name was anonymous because I was still inside. That is why I did not put my name on this newspaper. Because the week after that, it was on a Sunday after the 14th, the newspaper was out. The Sunday I left. But how I left? Because they were starting planning around me. Because these people are very dangerous. They don't know. Those who are there, they know what I'm talking about. These people, they know how to plan to make your name to be bad. Because they were planning around me to make me like I have steal the offering. So that is why on Sunday I have to escape. I escaped from that place. I did not, because it was very hectic for me and my wife. And my wife have already passed on, because also they make my wife to drink this tablet so that he cannot have children. Because when I say that I don't want this vasectomy of them, he said now the wife must get this tablet. He drink this tablet. My wife has passed on. That he rest in peace. He so rest in peace. He's then Cape Town. I buried him there, because when we left there, it was hard for us. We did not have any sense.
Hold on, Michael. You got married, and
yes,
they said they don't want your wife to have kids, or you decided your wife shouldn't have kids?
I want my wife to have kids, but they don't want us to have kids. That is why they make this vasectomy things to the pastors. Then when I say that I will not, they said now my wife must do it. And then my wife changed it.
They presented the option for you to do vasectomy, but you said you don't want to do it. So they said your wife should take on certain medication. Do you know what medication that was?
It was tablets. I don't know this tablet that they cannot have, for her not to have children. But at the end, these tablets have taken effect on his womb. because his womb become rotten of cancer.
Amen.
He passed on.
Did you ever have kids?
I have kids before I went.
With her. With her, did you ever have kids?
I have no kids with them.
So she couldn't conceive. She had cancer in her,
in a womb because of that tablet. That is why she passed on. When we left, because before when I left 2009 on Sunday the 15th, I went to make this newspaper. I went to make this.
Is that the article now that you spoke?
Yes, that is the one.
Just hold it on. Hold it. Let me read what's there. In the name of the Father, the Son, and the rand.
And the rand.
And the money. So if you're not South African, you're watching. So it's more like the title there is in the name of the Father, the Son, and the money. So let's put it the money, the rand, the dollar, the pound.
And here, just like
this article, what's the date there? So the title is Church. Show me the front page. Take it up. Okay, this is the Sowetan, one of the biggest newspapers, all the newspapers here. Church use us to make millions. So this is based on the article and based on the interview you gave them, isn't it?
Yes, that is exactly this.
So tell me the date that is written there on that newspaper. Tell me the date there.
It is Friday, March 2009. 2009.
2009. Okay, so we're talking about 12 years now. Okay?
Yes.
Okay. And as you can see it, so for those of you who are thinking maybe these guys, nobody had been outspoken and talking about their experiences, why did they keep quiet? Because some of you guys are asking, why did the pastors keep quiet and all that? Well, William Lowe here has shown us, this is like 12 years ago.
No, not William. It's not William, it's Pastor Michael.
Michael Lowe.
Pastor Michael Lowe.
Yeah, Michael
Pastor
Lowe.
Michael Lowe. Yes. I was the front runner of this movement.
Okay. So they have a movement here.
Pastor Michael Lowe, if you can see that.
So they have a movement here. They call it Pastors Cry Out for Justice. And Michael Lowe here.
Yes, in front of me, yes.
Okay, that's the logo. That's the logo there. And you also have to remember, Michael.
Yes.
I think you are the oldest member of the church that I've ever met. You were there with them when they were Stop Suffering. Is that Stop Suffering they used to call themselves?
Yes.
I'm trying to not laugh, but I still have to laugh. You know, like Stop Suffering is the name of a ministry. That's the original name. For those of you guys who just joined now, that was the original name of UCKG, Universal Church of the Kingdom of God. And when Michael joined them, you know, from the beginning, that was the name. So he was part of the whole conception. Before, when you go to town in Joburg or you go to Soweto, you see all these big structures that they build now. Michael was part of the first batch of people to come to Johannesburg Park Station. They were sleeping in sleeping bags outside. So there's a lot of history.
On the floor.
Yeah. So there's a lot of history to it, and you have to understand Michael's story. You have to also remember this church is started by a Brazilian billionaire today. And Michael spoke about vasectomy. He was told to have vasectomy, which is more like male castration. But he said, no, his wife was given tablet because they didn't want them to have kids. Obviously, my thinking is if you have kids, it's going to take away your attention and your energy from giving away totally 100% to the church and making their money and building their whatever. Now, I want to read for you what's his name? The founder of the Universal Church of All Nations wrote in one of his books. This is what he wrote in one of his books. This is the code. When he talks about, this is what he wrote. I'm also in favor of women's right to choose whether or not to have a child. In cases of rape, birth defects or a mother's life being threatened is her choice. There is nothing to discuss. I'm in favor of abortion. Well, a lot of us are going to differ or not differ. For me, when there is pregnancy, whatever is done is just, it meant to happen. The child might be a blessing. Some of you guys who don't know, there's a prominent South African musician. It's called Solly Matlangu. He is a product of rape. He is a product of rape. And he is one of the most prominent, he's a pastor and also a prominent gospel musician. So for him to make a statement like this, talking from someone who is supposed to be a Christian leader, if he's not a Christian, obviously, I would agree with him because that's his opinion. He's not a Christian anyway. So how do you want to see it? And this is what he also said when it comes to vasectomy and the use of condom. He said, for this reason, obviously, I didn't read the other part of it. I'm in favor of condoms, vasectomies, tubal ligations, birth control pills, and all methods of contraception, and methods that are yet to be invented. In fact, I do not favor the use of one condom, but 2 condoms in case one fails. Yeah. And you see, he's talking to his members. He's not talking to the general public. He's talking to his members. There's a lot of controversial stuff that he has said. Sipo, are you with us?
I'm here, Solomon.
Yes.
I'm here.
So there's a lot of controversial stuff that he has said. Before I move to you, Sipo. So, Michael.
Yes.
These pastors cry out for justice. What do you guys want to see?
What we want to see, yes, our objectives. The Pastor William will request the objective. We have the objectives of our movement.
Greetings, Solomon. How are you doing?
I'm good. Good to have you.
I'm right. Solomon, we are fighting for justice. And number one, we are fighting for our education. And remember what I'm gonna read right now is pastors cry out for justice. Number 1, to give support to former KG pastors and their families. Giving support to pastors and their families included spiritual support, financial support the group, psychological support. We have those who are really mad because of the bad things that they were happening there. And number 2, Solomon, it says that to expose the injustice, including but not limited to racism, manipulation, humiliation, and crime and injury, denial of basic rights like right to vote. Did you know, Solomon, that we never vote in our entire life? When we were there...
Hold on, William. What do you mean you never voted? Were you not allowed to vote? Were you denied to vote, or you didn't have the time to vote?
When we were there, they were telling us not to go to vote.
Why?
Because to vote is a political, it's only for the people of the world. We are not the people there from the world. We cannot vote. Just imagine in your country, Solomon, they tell you that you must not vote. How are you going to feel?
That's terrible.
In your country, just imagine you have to go to vote, and they tell you that you must not go to vote. You just have to remain in the church.
Okay, continue with your objective.
Yes, and then it says here, right to education. Solomon, we need our right. We need our right. We have young people just like me that the person went there. I never wrote my 2 subjects. When I go there. Then the thing is, we have people that they left the school without education. They went there, they took them, they made them slaves. We were slaves there. And Solomon, one day when I was there in the basement, I saw the children of Brazilians go to school. And I was asking myself, oh, my father, what is happening here? They don't want us to go to school, but their children, they are going to school. They used to take them each and every morning when I was in the basement, taking them to school. But us, they don't want us to go to school.
And Solomon, sorry, let me just come in.
Yes.
Let me just come in when Pastor William is saying, you know, this thing of school, many people will not know this. Or because I say that in CRL Commission, that I went to look for help. I went in the Tuli house, me, myself, I went there in the Tuli house to ask, just for them to say, let us give them an age restriction, not to take these young boys from out of school, 16 years out of school. And then when they have used them and make them to be their slave and make them money, to make them rich, and then they kick them out. And because others, they went there without their family's permission. And when they come home, the family also chase them away. Where are they going to land up? They are going to land up as drunkards. They are going to land up as street kids. That is why I was in the Kuli house. I cried for them. I went to labor. I went to human rights. I went to many places. People, really, I cried. I said, let us stop this thing. But nobody has ever taken it serious. That is why it is like this today in our country.
And Solomon, the injustice to expose included vasectomy through psychological and religious manipulation, and racism, professional treatment to Brazil, which means that they used to favor the Brazil more than the black people. They favor the Brazil more than the black people, which means we used to work a lot. The Brazilians, they used to stay inside, and the black people, they used to go outside to evangelize. We black people, we work a lot there, but we suffer. And when they said more, they pay more for them for performing the same task. We are performing the same task, but they used to pay them more than the black people. And it says no benefit from employees, including UIF, medical aid, time off, exploitation, and etc. To come together and find ways to seek justice for all the suffering UCKG caused the pastors and their families. Workshop to find ways to deal with challenges that are faced by the pastors and their families. Employment of means or professional to assist with legal process. This is justice. We cry for justice, Solomon. I hope all the South Africans, they can hear us that we are crying. Solomon, we are crying. I have some of my pastors here in Bloemfontein. Some of them, they don't have place to stay. They were there in Universal working day and night. They were working day and night. They don't have place to stay. They are suffering a lot. But every time they are telling people that we make millions there in the church, we make thousands of money in the church. But when people, they look at us, we are suffering, Solomon. And those Brazilians, they are living in luxury. What about us? That's why we cry for justice. Thank you, Solomon.
Solomon, imagine using a fork. Imagine using a fork to comb your hair. Because you do not have a comb, you take a fork the same fork that you use to eat your food. You must take that fork to comb your hair. After that, you must go to preach. There is too much. You know the way pastors are suffering there. I can tell you now, Solomon, we are talking about all the sufferings. But the physical part of it, myself, I was physically abused as well. I was physically abused by a Brazilian who actually took me, hold me, threw me towards the wall and wanted to beat me inside of the church. And this happened after he preached to the people. And you know, the most painful part of it that I will never forget, when you are a pastor there, they don't care about you. It's like you are dead. Solomon, one day I was standing in front of the church in Cape Town, in Mitchell's Plain. You know, the church was upstairs. I was standing downstairs in the door, as we normally used to stand in the door and hand out papers. when people are passing by. And just a second of me moving up 2 stairs, a bullet hit right next to the stairs. I was not even far. I was almost shot by that bullet. And who shot that bullet there? In front of the church, there was a something like a police, let me say a police station. I don't know what were the police doing. And they even came to take that bullet there and apologize. I was working under a Brazilian. When he came to the church and I told him I was almost shot by the bullet, he did not take me serious. He did not report it. Nothing was done about it. Instead, he will come to the church and ask, how much was the offering? How much was the offering? He says to me, you know, when you are there preaching, you must ask the people, make the people to give. Make them to give. Solomon, we went under pressure of asking people to give offerings and give their money. And people will look at us as if we are the one that are doing this, but they do not know what is happening behind of the scene. So we have suffered injustices. As one pastor has mentioned, the Brazilians, I have gone out with some Brazilians to town. They will say, come, let's go to the restaurant. They will pay for you. They will pay. You don't have money, they have money. Because they are treated better than us. They are given more. They are given everything. But you, like the pastor said, even education. We could not further our educations. We could not. This is very painful, Solomon. It is very painful. Because today, it is very difficult for us out here. We have to try by all means to do things that we can to survive. Because we turned our back on our families. We were told that let the dead bury the dead. I had most of my family members, I never buried them. I never buried them. We were told we must not ask help from our families. And if it was found out that you ask your family for help or for money or for anything, you are in trouble. By that time, you don't have money. You must use a fork to comb your hair and go and preach to people. And you must take the same fork and go and eat with that fork. We suffered there. So we want justice. And there are many of our brothers in there who are going through this until today. They are crying. So we want our voice to be heard. As Pastor William has written our objectives. We want justice. Yes. We want justice.
And just to add, if there's anybody watching and listening, and maybe you are a legal person or you are like part of the police or whatever, that you know you can help this group of, there's about 11 of them in this group, Pastors Cry Out for Justice, as you heard William earlier on giving out their objectives. All they want is justice. They spend a lot of their youth, of their young life, you know, all that energy went into building, like you saw in the cover page of that Sowetan magazine, a Sowetan newspaper in 2009, they made millions for them. They used them to make millions, you know. That's the truth. And the pastors are living large. The Brazilian pastors are living large. Yes. So it's a case of not really practicing what you preach. But you wanted to say something.
Can I add something?
I'll come back to you, William. Sorry, Michael. Benny.
Should I? All right. Just to add on what Sipho Chabalala has said, these people, I want to show you something. How cruel are they? They taught us to teach the people, to teach people about the Egyptians. They told us that we should speak to belittle the Egyptians. But I can tell you that those Egyptians are far better than them. Because here are the things. Let me make a practical example. When the Israelites, the moment when they were oppressed, where were they? were they in their own country or in the country of the foreigners? They were oppressed at Egypt, but we are oppressed in our own land. We are oppressed in our own country by these Brazilians. And also another thing, when the Israelites went out of Egypt, the Bible says that God said they should ask for silver and gold from the Egyptians. That means compensation. But we left the KG without any compensation. And also when these Israelites, the moment when they left, the Bible says that they were in good condition, health-wise, mentally, everything, and they were still producing, they were multiplying. But I can tell you that most of our pastors, they leave the KG with this thing of vasectomy. They can't bear children. So, and today I can tell you, most of the Israelites, whenever they were facing the situation, they will refer back to where they were coming from, which is Egypt. They used to say that we better go back, Moses, we better go back to Egypt. But who among us who left the universal church, who want to go back? Nobody wants to go back. Nobody.
Well,
no one wants to go back.
No, it's me again, Pastor Itumeleng. While we were disturbed by the network here, so we are back now. As I was saying then, adding to what my pastors are saying about this church, remember they told us that the church will take care of us. At that time, when I had to join to go to the ministry, I left school to join to become a pastor because I had love to become a pastor. The sad part about it is that I was sent to Botswana to work in Botswana. Now, the sad part is this. I was going out there telling the people how great is God. I was going out there telling people that God can change their lives. Their lives can change. And the sad part is that I was given only 500 rand the whole month. I was staying at the church. I was there at the church. I had to use the same 500 for transportation when I have to go to the meetings. Now, some people that I used to evangelize, one of them said to me that, you are telling us about how good, how great your God is, but look at your shoes. My shoes as a pastor then had holes on them. My trousers there, they were losing its colors. And I was telling people about how great my God is. And the people are saying that, you are telling us about how great your God is, but look at you. That was the sad part. That I was a pastor who was lied to. The Brazilians, they lied to us, telling us the church will provide for us. The church will take care of us. But when we go out to tell the people about how great is the God, they were asking questions. How you are telling us about your God that is great, but look at your clothes. Look at your shoes. We are better than this God. That is why I'm saying we were pastors in front of everyone, but slaves of Brazilians. We were slaves of the Brazilians in the church. We were denied the opportunity. Most of us, if you can hear Uncle Solomon, if you can hear most of us pastors, we are told to leave our schools. In other words, which country will have a better leadership without education? No country will have a better leadership without education. But they told us that we should leave the schools to join to become pastors. When we joined to become pastors they were denying us a right to further our educations. They were denying us right to be one, to be united with our families, because they were saying
but
that.
why didn't you decide to leave if they're denying you certain rights that you should have as an individual? What held you back? Yes, Michael.
At that moment, we were having what you call the first love. You know, the love for doing what God has called you to do. We were manipulated to believe that the system that they were using, it is a system of God. Only to find out that all of us, we wanted to become pastors. We wanted to serve God there, to save souls. But we are not aware we are being used to make millions for the Brazilians.
Can you believe, Solomon, the day that I left?
Sipo?
Okay, I just wanted to say something on what Pastor William was saying. The day that I left, that time we used to get 700, 800 every fortnight. Like on the 15th, you get it 700, and then again month end. The day that I left, Solomon, was on the 14th. I was fed up. I was not happy. The treatment, it was terrible. I cried. I spoke to God about it, and I said, no, this is not a place for me anymore. But the day that I left on the 14th, I only took my bags. I had nothing. On the 15th, when I went to the ATM to go and do nothing, I've been there for years. I was given nothing. And now on the 15th, I'm supposed to get that 700. I left on the 14th. When I went to the ATM on the 15th, that 700 was stopped. That's how cruel it's been there.
Yes, Pastor Solomon, you know what is cruel also, what really was, the things that makes me to be upset. It was when I start to pray, I say, but God, you say that in the Bible, those who are burdened and weary must come to me and I will take their burden away. But when we climb the altar, you start to be like a trophy, a robber, a skeleton. You just think how to get the money out of the pocket of these people, because there is no more salvation. I was asking also one time one of the bishops when I was starting to be reported in 2008. I said, but why all the time when it is a campaign of Israel, we have to go to the mountain of Cape Town? There was sometimes we go to that mountain, the Table Mountain. It was freezing. Just for the campaign, for people to bring the money. But I was asking myself, I asked one day, why we don't go also to these mountains to pray for people to receive the Holy Spirit, to pray for people to receive Jesus? Why only in the time of this campaign for money? There was times that we have to march. I marched from Vereeniging to Joburg, just for that campaign for people to bring their offering. That was the thing that I start to see, no. It's all about money. It's not about the kingdom of God. It's no more about salvation. It's only about money. One day I was evangelizing because we are the ones, the Africans, we fill up these churches because we went to go to the township. We go to these Brazilians, they never evangelize. We used to go to train stations. I remember when I was in Cape Town, they used to take us 8 o'clock, put us on the combi. The church have a combi there. They used to put us there in Langai. We used to evangelize the whole day, hungry. They are going to take us 4:45. They want to fetch us there without nothing. We are the ones who fill up these churches. We are the ones who make money for them. They have done nothing. They were just sitting there and do nothing. And what they are doing with us, when we fill up churches, when we have grown the churches, they take us out, they put a Brazilian. And when the church falls down, you have to go there again, you South African, to fill up that church. That when you go there, they will tell you that you must grow, you must kill the lion. There is a thing, Mr. Solomon, they did not call the money anymore offering. They called the children. Money was called children. You will hear that. How much is the children there? How much is the children there? Now I discover now why they call it children. Because they make that the pastors to make vasectomy, they must not make children. Because children for them is the money. It's not the human being. That is what I discovered.
And you know, Solomon, it's not about our injustice. It's not about our justice, the justice as well with the members. There was one time when I was working in Botshabelo, Solomon, in K section. I was working there in K section. One mama came in the church. He sold his house to bring money to the church. And the following day, the child of that mama came. He said, Pastor, where are we going to live now? Because my mom sold this house and we don't have a place to stay. We don't have the place to stay. There are so many members that are sitting in the houses. They feel the same thing that we are feeling. Because there, they teach you how to take money from the people. They teach you how to rob people. And you know, Solomon, it was really, really so sad when I was in Abington, when I was working in Abington, one Brazil, he wanted me to close my church. I was in Camels. I was working in Camels. He wanted me to close my church so that I can come to his church, so that in his church there, so that I can make money to his church, not there where I was working, because he knew that there in Camels there, I make money. But in his church, he doesn't make money because he wants Abington to become regional. Because in those days, Abington was not regional. We were falling under Kimberley. Now they took me to the pastor there, the regional pastor. When I arrived there, he told the regional pastor, he said, this guy is giving me problem. And the regional pastor, I want to tell you, is a Brazil. Remember, Solomon is a Brazil. I want to explain to him what happened. And you know what he said to me? He said, Willem, I'm going to send you home to your mother's house. Just imagine sending me home because they want me to make money there in Abington. Just imagine, Solomon. It was all about money. It was not about souls.
Solomon, you know what is also painful? Sorry, is that when my father passed on, I come to tell that Brazilian that was there in church. He said to me, because here you know what is happening. That time when we start, it was 150 fortnight that we get, and this money cannot last. It does not last. Yeah, money does not last. So I say to him, my father passed on. So because I don't have money, he said to me, the church is not a burial society. But in that same week, one Brazilian pastor, his mother was sick, just sick in Brazil. He had a wife, he had a daughter. They flight him to Brazil. Imagine how much is the cost to flight him to Brazil. And me, I am here in South Africa. In South Africa, my father passed on, and they say that they are not, the church is not a burial society. Let the dead bury the dead. Imagine how you feel that moment. Your father passed on. And then the other one said to me that I want to go on holiday. They call my father's funeral is a holiday that I want to go. In the pastor's meeting, one come in that night, he said, yeah, there is one here among you. You want to go. Here is the campaign. It's time of the campaign. You want to go on holiday. On holiday, they call it holiday. It's very painful. These people are cruel. And we want these people. You know what? We want compensation. After compensation, these people are a card. And a card cannot be changed. These people, I see what is going to happen. Our children's children are going to fall into this card. So this card must stop. That is the thing. We have much here for our children. I am now 60 years. I'm 60 years now. 60 years. I have nothing to show. I have no record. I'm a walking ghost. There is no way where my name appears as Michael here because he have an account here or what. I have no house. I have nothing. Our children here in South Africa cannot fall in the same trap. That is what we want to make sure. Even if I have to die, let me die because I'm already dead. They have killed me.
Another thing, Solomon, just to finish what I spoke about earlier, the Kwakwa issue. Immediately after we buried those guys, I was taken to the main church in Joburg. Then from their main church, I went. Then I was sent home. I was expelled from the church, and then as I was at home, I received a call of the bishop because the members from Kwagwa who knew the truth behind, they went to him and they spoke to him. So he had to reinstate me to the church. But coming back to the church, I was now transferred to Bloemfontein. And bear in mind that I was not, I never undergo any surgery, and also being cancelled because of the trauma and other things that happened there in Kwagwa. I was taken as I was to the main church in Bloemfontein. There in the main church, I was handed over to another pastor who ill-treated me just to make sure that just to make sure that I quit by myself. So I tried to resist for some time, but because of I was still suffering from the trauma that I had at that mountain. So I even reached a stage whereby I was no longer even praying. I was asking God, my God, why didn't you kill me instead of these boys? So up until now, I've been telling people that I must reveal this at the end of the day. I must make sure that I find a platform whereby I tell the world of what the Universal Church did to us. So the reason is because of, I still believe that the blood of these boys were crying louder to my ears. That is the reason why even my life was blocked. In everything that I do, I could not see a success. So the reason I left in the Universal Church, the moment when I left the ministry, it was 2017. It was 2007 when I left. Immediately after all those things. So I left. I think it was around December when I left. I just quit it because I was tired. I could feel that I'm no longer myself. I felt that even to stand before the people, I don't deserve to stand in front of them because I myself, I need help. I need someone to talk to. I need a counseling. And also my health is deteriorating. So because of that situation, that's why I took a decision of quitting the ministry. I just switched off my phone and I left. I took my bags and went home. That's how I parted ways from the ministry. But I was in the church, a small church, helping them with playing the keyboard until I left them. I think it was 2019 when I left them. Now I'm in another church now.
So let's bring this to a close, guys. You left the church. None of you was compensated when you left. Was there some sort of payout?
No, there was no payment.
Not Solomon.
Does any of you have any sort of education to vote?
Nothing. They did not allow you to start nothing.
Nada, Solomon.
How sad it is, how painful it is, Solomon. This is so painful.
They say that the Holy Spirit will teach you. The Holy Spirit will guide you. The Holy Spirit will do everything for you. And the church will take care of you. But where is he now?
And Solomon, they even curse you. They curse you.
It's the only thing that
they curse you.
Yeah, they curse you.
Now, this is a lesson for many people who are watching, who get involved into these churches, and you give everything you believe in. They promise you everything. But the moment you know your constitutional rights, because listening to you guys, even your constitutional rights were violated there.
Yes.
Now, I can say, why didn't you leave?
We are fully aware.
But at the same time, I understand what brainwashing is.
Yeah.
Some people, I'm sure some people
brainwash you.
But some people are being brainwashed and being hypnotized. Yeah. So we have to understand that level. I know a level of brainwash where you're going to be in that place for 7 years before you wake up.
Oh, bring it on.
You know, they make these books. You must read only their books. Only their books you must read. You cannot read a book of another pastor. They say that you must drink a spirit of that founder. You cannot drink a spirit of another. If they get you with another book, you are punished. And there is a red tie that they use, that red tie they call it red tie, but for us, I don't want it even on my neck because it was a chain on our necks. When you wear that red tie, you are panic.
So we've taken an hour 30 minutes. So this is what I want to close with. Whoever, I hear you, one of the things that you said is you guys want compensation, right?
Yes,
True.
Yes.
100%.
Because of the years that you've given of your life. And also you want to make sure that the activities of that church, which you consider a cult, is exposed because of the future generations.
Yeah.
That is what I want. That is exactly what I want.
So
That is exactly what we want. We are more
so
than
that's what we are
2,000 people.
yeah. So if there's anyone watching, maybe you're in the legal profession, that you can really help and say, look, I want to champion this. As you can see, for Michael, he's been on this for a very long time. So it shows, and he said he's even ready to die for it, which is a very huge commitment to make. So if you're in the legal profession or one way or the other, you can help out, please do. And if you want to help them in any way, you have ideas that you're going to help them, get in touch with me. I'll connect you to Pastors Cry Out for Justice. Remember, the name of this group is, there's about 11 of them that are, that came out of there. It's called Pastors Cry Out for Justice. All they want is justice. That's why I brought them here, just so you can hear them, just so we can hear your story. Some of the things that you shared here, I was never expecting it. I was never ever expecting it. It's like a shocker to me, because I didn't expect that it was that deep. I didn't expect that the people that passed away, that died on the prayer mountain, and the church was in denial and don't have nothing to do with them. I didn't expect that Michael, your wife, would be given certain drugs by the church just so she would not conceive, and she ended up having, problem with her wombs.
Cancer.
Yeah.
So cancer.
Yeah, she got cancer and all that. So I didn't really expect that. So if there's anyone that can help, please reach out to me or reach out to them directly if you know them. But I want to thank every one of you. Your life is not over yet. Michael, you might be 60, but you can still live a fulfilled life. Yes, mistakes have been made and years have been wasted, but still, even you pursuing this justice enough should make your life fulfilled. At the end of it is some sort of justice are met. And I want to thank all of you guys and also encourage you. Some of you guys have gifts in different ways. Look for ways to explore it and look for ways to use it. Thank you so much, guys.
Thank you, Solomon. Thank you very much. May God bless you.
God bless you.
God bless you.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you very much.
Thank you very much.
Okay, bye.
So that's my guest.
Okay, that was a very long episode. I want to thank you all for tuning in for this long episode, serious episode of Peace and Late Night Conversation. With the cult that we're dealing with, called the Universal Church, UCKG, the Help Center. But the main name is the Universal Church when it came from whatever it came from. The guys were talking about. I want to thank you all for tuning in. Share the video, hit the like button, and if you know someone going to the Universal Church or thinking about it, get them out of there. Okay. Also, next month they're doing this campaign to Israel where you have to sacrifice all, donate the cars, go sell things and all that. It's not from God. It's a cult. There are millions of churches. You can find another church home. It ain't hard. Finding the church is easy as finding a penny on the ground. Finding the right church is like finding a $100 bill. But I want to thank you all for tuning in. You know what I always say, once the piece is gone, I'm gone. The piece has been gone. But thank you all for tuning in. Hit the like button. Don't forget to share the video and subscribe to the channel. Later.